Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Sarah's View of Life. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. This is a pre-recording of another recording I did where I was talking about the Mission Accepted 262 book, an anthology that I'm in, along with 261 people, including my daughter Tabitha. All I did here was just talk about the book and just take a few little excerpts of some of the people I've interviewed, not all of them, but just a little line or two of what they had to say, and I wanted to share it with you. The reason why this book is important is the fact that there are 262 women in there sharing a little something about themselves, a little wisdom to impart upon you, that inspiration that begets that invitation. It's been a long time coming. Deb Drummond has done over a year, 22 summers plus, where it has been going in and directing the summits to lead up to this book, and all wonderful speakers that have been on there. And believe me, there have been some incredible speakers, of which I have had the honor of interviewing so many. So today it was just a little snippet of some of the people that I've interviewed, at their line, and a little bit of what this book has meant to me. So do enjoy. The book is on Amazon, Mission Accepted 262, produced by Deb Drummond. And of course, you'll see it right here on the show posting and on my link under Sarah's View of Life, Mission Accepted 262. And you'll also see all my other books, Our Forgotten Children, book series, which has died off a little bit, folks. I'd kind of like to revive this, please. Our Forgotten Children book is not only a fundraiser, but it's awareness raiser of what's going on with our children and what we need to do to change. And for our children's sake, let's get this book out there. There is my own book, Sarah's Self-Discovery of Soul Living, and another book that still hasn't come out in paperback yet, of Dare to Live Fearlessly. And I am about to produce the next book, The Journey Within, Wisdom from Coaches on Your Self-Discovery. And that announcement is coming up extremely soon, where we'll be looking for 25, maybe 30 coaches to be a part of it. A whole program has been put together for you and will be launched next week. So here we go, folks. Book number 5, but right now I am talking about book number 4. Do enjoy. Hi, everyone. Sarah Troy here again. As I've said, I've just got my Mission Accepted 262 book, and I'm just going to take a couple of passages here and just share it with you. My bracelet has just got caught to my top. So here's just a wee bit from me. Wisdom is often spoken as if it were a commodity, easily acquired or traded. However, my life journey has taught me that true wisdom is far more profound. It is not something that can be handed over. It is a treasure earned through innate odyssey of life. Wisdom to me is that pivotal moment when the universe truths permeates my being, resonating deeply within my heart and propelling my spirit into meaningful action. In this innate ability to discern precisely what I need to know at exactly the right time. And I'm going to read a wee little bit from my daughter. I was born in Canada to immigrant parents with 2 younger siblings. We all have different personalities, but love each other. So we grew up with fond memories and yet some difficult times, as anyone does. I left for a while, but now we are reunited and strong and in expanding. My parents ran restaurants for a few years, and we children would either help with entertainment, we sang karaoke, or try and set the tables properly. I suppose in a way, I was conditioned to be in the service industry one day. My family has dined at exotic restaurants their entire lives, and I had open appetites. I have a taste for adventure. This is someone I interviewed, Mindy Shearer. She really did leave an impact with me. Such an extraordinary woman who followed the beautiful signs of life. Mindy Shearer was born in Philadelphia, PA, but moved to New York City right after graduating from the University of Vermont with a design degree. Even from an early age, Mindy always dreamed of being a fashion designer, but she never wanted to think small. She had set her sights on becoming a global brand and worked in the fashion industries for over 24 years. However, life had other plans for her, and her story was truly, truly exemplary of listening to what the universe has to say to us. I call it the nudge, nudge, wink, wink, or the cosmic 2x4. For her, it was a nudge, nudge from her son, Oliver. Joyce Ingram, I interviewed yesterday, said she'll be out next week. It was kind of coincidental that my book arrived just before I'm interviewing two people from the 262 Project. She says, I didn't fit in. When I started grade one in the predominantly white small town my family had immigrated to, I spoke only Chinese. I had no knowledge of any English. I tried to fit in with the rest of the class, but it was a struggle and without lots of help. I think this was the first time I felt like an outsider. I felt like I wasn't good enough. All the while through high school, recall being very accommodating to others. My mom thought I was gullible and that everyone could get me to do anything. But I wasn't gullible. I just wanted to be liked and accepted. How many of us feel that way? Mm. Camilla Ecker, I've actually interviewed a few times. She's a wonderful woman. This is her starting point. Dearest Camilla, you're doing great. Love you, XO, Melissa. My eyes started to water as I looked at the note on my kitchen table. That morning, I felt my friend Melissa, uh, I left my friend Melissa to leisurely pack up and head back to Ontario after the evenings of reminiscing, giggling, psychoanalyzing on life into the wee hours of the morning. Something in our conversation had told her I needed to read those words. We never know what impact somebody's going to have at what particular time. And it's always wonderful when something can pivot you in a different direction. Melanie and Max Sally was another one that I got to interview yesterday, just as the book arrived. Personal journey to freedom. In the tapestry of life, each thread represents a choice, a moment, a leap. For me, the quest for freedom was calling that whispered to me over the years. It all began with imagination at the age of 4. Imagination allowed me to be anyone and do anything, a spark that unknowingly ignited a long, long quest for freedom. Don't we all want freedom? Freedom to be, freedom to do, freedom to speak, freedom just to acknowledge who we are and what we're here to do. Forbes Riley says, as someone who grew up disillusioned by the Disney fairy tales that the princess was always saved by a man, turns out finding my Prince Charming did change my life. Intriguing. I got to interview Rowena List many, many years ago, and it was a delight to see her in this book. She says, it saddens me that 50% of the world's population lives on less than $1 a day. A lot of these people don't even have a pair of shoes, let alone a whole closet full that they don't wear. I believe we can make this playing field more by consciously consuming rather than being consumed. A very good point, right, folks? Very good point. Dr. Sophia Yen, she was fine. She says, at 15 years old, I was sexually active and wanted to be a doctor someday. I could not afford to be pregnant. I would derail my future if that were to happen. And as a Planned Parenthood volunteer, I ran a pregnancy test, but it was not for me. It was for the 13-year-old girl who, in, sorry, it was for the 13-year-old girl that came back positive. I would give her all the options: keep the pregnancy, keep the baby for adoption, terminate her pregnancy. She chose to keep the pregnancy. Mm. And look where she is now. Gosh, she's doing so much for people. Her show was very, very inspirational. Leonie Strauss, actress, philanthropist, producer, really does do it all. She says, you've probably heard of me saying life is a journey. Well, mine has definitely been one so far. Often we don't take a minute to acknowledge how far we've come or what we have accomplished. We just think about the next thing to do. And I have been guilty of that. Haven't we? We're so busy doing, we forget about being and pausing to look and reflect on where we've been, what we're doing, and where we're going. Dee Lippingwell was an absolute delight to meet. Plus, I got to have lunch with her at my son's restaurant. She truly is exemplary. She is the rock star photographer here in Canada. And she just happened on it, just with a camera, just got up there and captured people in the moment and just captured some of the most incredible pictures. Her couple of opening lines are, just like my mother told me, I can do anything you want. If you have a dream, don't let anyone stop you from becoming the person you want to be or doing the career that you want to do. It didn't stop her. We not only did a show on her being a rock star photographer and all the wonderful stories, but also on liver disease, which isn't just a rock star disease. Very, very enlightening. Trish Springsteen, so much fun. I'm only going to read a couple of lines. I want you to really listen to her show and read her in the book. Way back in the Jurassic Park period, a long time ago, a young girl left high school and took her first steps into the big world. She was an introvert and very, very shy. Her passion was reading and being in a small group of friends. She didn't stand out and wasn't very good at meeting people. The fault of speaking or owning a business was not hers on the radar. In fact, if you mentioned anything like that to her friends or people who knew you, they would have laughed. But you should see her now. Sandy Rutherford was another very interesting one. She said, we each have so much to celebrate about our lives. Seeking out the lessons learned and celebrating them raises your vibration and serves as a powerful foundation for taking center stage in your inspired destinies. She truly is living her purpose, and she really is a great motivator, a good one to listen to. Dr. Ellen Price, yes, a very woman who's most certainly not let things get in her way. I always knew I was a leader and would have an impact on the lives of others. My leadership journey began early in life. In elementary and junior high, I was reprimanded by school authorities for what they perceived as leading student protests against an unjust policies and based treatment. I have, but I may have had these reprimands, but it didn't deter me. They only strengthened my resolve. And you know, when you've got somebody like that, that it's their driving force right from the word go, just get out of their way. They're here on a mission and they're here to change things. Shelby Avan, sorry, my apologies. I fall in love with as many things as you can. Love is the only thing in life that matters. I grew up as a girl with a major love for horses and who ironically was also allergic to them. I spent my weekdays riding and weekends showing. From the time I rolled down my pony's neck in a show because she had wheatgrass. So to the times later in life when I was speeding around and jumping course, cutting corners, and trying to beat the fastest times of the day. The love of horses speaks to her, and that love of love continues on. Natasha Samson, I've interviewed a couple of times. We had some deep conversations. She was in transition. It was like which way to go, and it's okay to take a pause so that you can reflect and receive the message. She says, my business is a big part of my spiritual path. It continually reflects areas of my personal growth and self-acceptance, pushes me out of my comfort zone, and requires me to take action while also surrendering to the divine timing, not my timing. Very good point, right? We're so busy insisting things happen when we want them to happen that maybe they're just not meant to happen at that time. Dr. Paula Gordon, I interviewed on breast density. Had you ever heard of it? No, I hadn't either. And things that we needed to be aware of and that were not being paid attention of by government, by medical institutions. And as I've said, folks, I've got that genre. Your health is your choice. Once we know there's something we don't know, we need to find out what it is. She says that in my 4+ year of medical school, I witnessed the important role radiology plays in diagnosis and decided I would specialize. I had a good fortune to be accepted into the residency program in Vancouver, where Dr. Peter Cooperberg, one of the original gurus of ultrasound, who had introduced this relatively new test, worked. After completing my training as a radiologist, I did an additional fellowship year training with him, qualifying me to be the head of the ultrasound department. You see, we never know who's going to inspire us, do we? The person that became her illumination set her on the path, and through that path, she had no idea the discoveries that she was going to make. Now, Nicole Gribstad, definitely a woman of passion and of faith. God has certainly shown her the way, and she is passionate about sharing that, but not in an intrusive way, just in that it is her fuel and it is her compass. She says, God has walked with me for as long as I can remember. I feel overwhelmingly special to have him speak to me in an audible about his identity from the young age of 5. Although I have gone through numerous ups and downs, filled with joys and sorrows, peaks and valleys, and wins and losses, the presence of the Lord has never left me. Whether you call it God, universe, spirit, energy, or source, or wisdom, it doesn't matter what it is. That special energy is something that there to guide us, for us to listen to, for it to be our compass in knowing where we need to go in the world. We're not alone, and we should never travel alone. Now, Susan Isaac, definitely a woman who follows her calling. She makes most beautiful jewelry out of glass, but she allows it to speak to her. And when she does custom pieces for her clientele, she gets the essence of who they are and brings it out into the essence of the jewelry. And I interviewed her and then went and had lunch with her. And we just had a wonderful day sitting outside in the sunshine talking. And she asked me to pick a piece. And obviously blues are my color because you see me in them so often. I'm sorry, I don't have a blue office. That's going to be worked on at some point. But there were some pieces that spoke to me. And every time I wear them, I've got people commenting on them and how beautiful they are, because it's not just about the look. It's about the story that it tells. And she knows that story and how to bring it out. Truly a fascinating woman. And she says, we almost lost her that first night. We got a call asking if we would rehabilitate our orphaned fawn, but we picked her up immediately. She was no bigger than one of our cats. She wouldn't lift her head and refused to eat. Her condition meant that we were running out of time to save her. She needed goat's milk every hour. We were force feeding her all afternoon, but she was too traumatized to move. She could only survive if she took a bottle instead of force feeding. She survived that first night thanks to the animal whisperer husband idea to sleep in the small room and take one of our cats with him. Mm. You see, that is using another animal to help another animal, for they understand what is needed. Emily Bassett, another her whole first line here. In the fear of change, face of challenges, I've always lived by this mantra. If there's a will, then there is a way. A guiding principle that has shaped my journey and continues to do so. Goes back to that allowing, doesn't it? If there is a will, there is a way, and sometimes that will is just stepping out of the way. Ruth Smith definitely left an impact with me. She's an aquatic therapist out of Australia, and she works with people with autism and Down syndrome and people of post-traumatic stress. And she very, very much is into that the water, which is a conduit, feeds the soul and calms the mind and the spirit. She says, I am Ruth Smith, a true blue, teal, Aussie farmer's daughter. The ebb and the flow of my childhood facilitated the jumping out of the willow trees into creeks, drinking cow's milk direct from the source, and roaming productive paddocks with my 3 older siblings. Rural life was simple, lived with integrity, and built around community. A handshake was as good as a written contract, and if you worked hard physically, the abundance of the land would nurture your imagination and your sense of achievement and spirit. And she brings that spirit into everything that she does, but she's truly a water baby. Now, Kimberly Butler, there is a soul that is intriguing. She has been a photographer of the stars, where Dee Lippington was the rock star. She was the actual stars and politicians. But her lineage, oh my goodness, how far back it goes. When we did our interview, I remember looking up at the clock thinking, it's an hour, we should start winding it down, only to find out it was 2.5 hours. We were so engrossed in conversation and the ups and downs of life and the intriguing journey that she's had in life. She's lived it. She's known people and she's still living it, and she's definitely an inspiration. This is just a line or two from her. I had just graduated high school by the skin of my teeth. Everyone left the building, and I sat on the Forest Hills School stairs. This phase was over. I had managed to get through these 12 years of hell, learning disabilities, and undiagnosed dyslexia. I had been verbally abused by teachers who would call me stupid. Meanwhile, I was in the honors of English, science, and social studies. All in my cases, except math, I was an honor student. Did it occur to anyone that it was the educational system that was wrong? And of course, our forgotten children is exactly what that is about. Letting our children down because the system is broken. You really need to listen to her show. It is incredible. And of course, Deb Drummond. I've interviewed Deb, I think 5 or 6 times, known her for quite a while. And the funny thing is, even though that we lived in the same city for a long time, we just couldn't kind of connect to actually meet until last year. And then I was over visiting from Vancouver Island into Vancouver, and we were going to meet later, but it was her son's Ocean's first debut, his launch of his wonderful artistic clothing. And she said, come on over. And I sat next to her during this. And then the next day we were meeting my daughter for lunch. And the hilarious thing is, I was wearing a yellow top with a yellow skirt and yellow eye makeup. And who should walk in but Deb in entirely the same yellow? It was just so funny. But I have been with her right from the beginning doing these summits, and I've interviewed so many people from these summits. She is a woman in motion. And although she says that she finds her peace and quiet, you wouldn't know it because she is perpetual motion of illumination, of bringing people together. She's an incredible connector. She has a passion for people doing the best that they can and be the best that they should be. But in bringing this book together, she's brought 262 women who are here to make a difference. They have shared just snippets of who they are and what they're here to do. and invitation to go deeper into knowing who they are, why they are, and more about them. I've had the honor of interviewing many of them and diving deeper into their story. And I invite you to listen to Deb Drummond. I actually, if you go to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, put Deborah Drummond in, and all of her shows will come up, and the one with her son as well. It is quite incredible, this woman's drive. She's also going to be walking Ireland to raise awareness for musicians, and she's got something else up her sleeve. And I wish I had a fraction of her energy, because she is a woman on a mission and nobody's going to stop her. She's a visionary, but she's inclusive. And that's the incredible thing. This is what this book is all about. So, just a little line or two from Deb. Motherhood, what a journey. Or some would say, what a trip. I lucked out. I had the pleasure of having two of the most incredible humans as my children. Who knew a heart could fill to capacity and never gets empty? The fun, the lessons, the joy, the memories just keep going like a never-ending gobstopper in Willy Wonka. Each part of the journey, each of my children was so unique and special in their own way. It was a full-circling learning for me to see how their own personalities made themselves grow up right from the start, while at the same time, so many things they did were exactly the same. Our children are our driving force. They really are. I have recently moved from Victoria to Nanaimo to be near my daughter and my grandsons and to watch them grow. As a grandmother, it's a different experience. I get to have them in a different way, and it's just so wonderful to be immersed in their lives. But when we reflect back on our children, we realize what a big impact they've had on our lives, on who we are today and what we do. We've done so many of our things for them. Now, because of them, we're doing so many things for ourselves, and it truly is illuminating. I congratulate you, Deb, for putting this book together, for putting all that you put together. The summits alone, gosh, how many? 22 summits, and all the other little ones that you had, and the team that you have that have helped you along the way. It's been incredible. And each summit has brought such illuminations, such inspirations that are invitations for us to know that we are so much more than we thought we were. There is so much more that we can do for each other, and that this is a sisterhood. It isn't about bragging or one is bigger than the other. It's about each one of us have stepped into our own illumination, our own beautiful gift, and we're here to share it with one another, with the world, with all those that are ready to read it, to see it, to feel it, to do it. And we're showing that how we can come together to support one another. And this is what the Mission Accepted 262 is all about. So I invite you just to come and read the book. Here it is. Look how thick it is. Pictures on the back of the people that were truly involved. And here we are. I'm page 62. My daughter's 82. And it's wonderful to see this book come to fruition. And I'm very honored to be a part of it in the summits, in the interviews, in the promotion of the book. I've just shared with you just some tiny, weeny nuggets of a few people that I've interviewed. Please go and get the book. Read for yourself. And I will say, what do I need to know today? And sometimes just open up to a page. Well, what I needed to know was Karina Reeves. Just one quick live, I said to myself. It was the most generous summer's day, late afternoon, with golden sunshine, my happy heart keeping me company. On my way downtown, I was floating on air, a little late, heading towards the first date with a man I was very excited to meet. And it felt like it's surrounded by magic. Well, maybe I need to know today that magic is in the air and that I just need to tap in. There's always wisdom at our fingertips, and it's here in the book. And as you can see, this is my fourth book in this year alone, my own memoir, which I wrote because people asked me for it. And, it's Sarah's self-discovery into soul living. spiritual reflections and stories on a journey to heart and soul loving, which was something I had to do, and Our Forgotten Children book, which is the anthology of wonderful people in the book around raising our children and systems that need changing. When you care, because you're aware, we become the change we seek. And also in The Dare to Live Fearlessly, which the paperback hasn't come out yet, sharing a chapter on facing fear and doing it anyway. So yes, I'm honored to be in the book, honored to meet June 6th, get to meet all these wonderful people. Well, not all of them, some of them. But, we're going to be signing each other's books. We're going to be meeting face to face. We're going to be conversing and celebrating each other, because this truly was a collaborative community of support, of love, of caring. Nobody bigger than anybody else. Everybody being a part of the orchestra. And Deb Drummond was our wonderful conductor. So thank you, Deb, for putting this together. I hope you've enjoyed just the little snippets of people that I've put together here for you. And get the book. Be inspired by it. It's going to be at the Emmys. It's going to be all around the world. Media has picked it up already. And so this is going to be talked about for a long time. Come and see why, because there's a lot of inspiration in it. So Sarah Troy here, selfdiscoverywisdom.com. That's where you'll find the podcast of the people I've interviewed in the book. Take care, everyone. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.